Jason!
Oja!
As always, we are here. Wet World Masters Season 1 finally, right?
Finally.
Oh man, it's been a long time coming, but we are here. We're just before the final of the World Masters final,
Yeah,
which
we
is
are.
a lot of finalizing final stuff. And we are here to talk to you about the upcoming update. As you guys know, Rise of Power is coming. Once Upon a Pyre is coming. Our first expansion is coming. And you've already seen most of the cards. We'll be showcasing today at the end of this segment the final cards.
Three.
The final three. From the best faction in Gwent. You can quote me on that because it's true. Scoia'tael. But we'll be also going through all the changes coming with update 9.0. And there's a lot going on.
For all the Scoia fans out there, we're doing Scoia last because you wanted to do it in this segment, didn't you? Like you went out of your way to make sure that you could be the one to reveal the final Scoia cards,
yes,
right?
I really wanted to do the final reveals since this time we gave all of them to the community mostly. We didn't have many to reveal ourselves, so at least I want a little bit of Scoia'tael. Plus, there's one of my favorite characters there, so I think it will be the final reveal, so get ready for that. But before that, let's talk about 9.0. So, apart from new cards, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's some stuff that Jason was teasing for some time. So, Jason, what can we expect as a general overview of this update?
Yeah, like where to begin? You know, I like to tease and like to get people's little expectations up. Hopefully, we don't disappoint. First off, you know, we should have faster animations with this update. We've decoupled the logic and the visuals in a way where you no longer actually have to wait for everything to be visualized before using another charge of an order, for example. It should make the game feel significantly faster for a lot of people. So looking forward to seeing how that goes for people. It is a bit of a surgery to do such a large change for us, so please bear with us. It's a little buggy at the start, but as far as I can tell, everything looks nice from our side. We'll just hope it survives the mass of all of you guys joining in on it.
Shinmiri and Life Coach were actually waiting for this. They really wanted those things to be decoupled and apart from each other, so I hope, especially Shinmiri, he was very
it makes it easier for the roping,
Yes.
It's all about the rope.
It's all about the rope.
The rope and dope.
Yeah. Apart from that, we have a big rework, right? So
yeah, we wanted to do a big change for Northern Realms, and I think we'll go through it actually quite substantially today. We'll focus more on that during the 9.0 patch changes instead of, well, we'll be skipping quite a few things in other factions, though, like usual, we'll do highlights. And I think the thing to note is we're not quite 100% feel like we're there with the rework, in the sense that, you know, during our testing, we feel like it probably needs a bit more love, but we thought it was in a good enough state that it's actually should make a nice update for you guys, and give us, you know, some feedback from you guys, and try to make it a bit more final, and then update 9.1, the one that comes next month. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it is, I think, a really interesting, exciting direction for Northern Realms, and I can't wait for us to get to that section.
Exactly. Apart from that, there are some small changes to some of the leader abilities. This is something that's been kind of going on that we're doing.
We also tweaked some provisions on some leader abilities, but I think we'll leave those for the patch notes.
Exactly, we'll leave those for the patch notes. Same goes for anything that is connected with power changes or provision. Those will come later. And we also have 3 new reward trees for Once Upon a Pyre. So a lot of you have been asking about the trees, if they're coming with the first expansion. Of course, they are coming. And for some of the key characters there, you'll get new trees. So enjoy those. Pay your points there. And one final change, which for me is my favorite change. And we were kind of talking about this. I didn't know when it was going to happen, but when I saw it in the patch notes, I was like, this is the day, finally. So
I think I blame it all on that stream I did once with Ola, and everyone was screaming for it. So ta-da, the play card in the main menu now shows your favorite card from your player profile. This has been a change.
Pafko Gale play button.
Asked for a long time, and I'm excited that we finally managed to put it in. You can thank Ola for that. Actually, she made it a priority.
Perfect. I can finally have the Pafko Gale play button. That makes my gaming experience a million times better. Thank you, Jason.
Yep, it does. So maybe let's get through some of the highlights of the patch notes. Maybe starting with neutral. Yeah, all right. So first one that we're going to talk about is Vader Maker.
Vadermaker.
Is that how you say it? Vadermaker
Vadermaker.
has a
Weather
new
Maker.
part. We've added a new part to his ability to kind of play with weather a bit more. I think it's something we've been creeping in with every update recently, and at some point it's just going to all coalesce, and weather is going to be crazy. I fear, but it's interesting for sure. And that's if you control the Scepter of Storms when you play him, increase the duration by 3 instead.
Nice.
So with the fact that we're lowering its provision cost from 6 to 5 means that I think, definitely Scepter of Storms Vadermaker combo. We'll definitely have we'll have a chance. Sorry, it's the Scepter of Storms that changes provision from 6 to 5. Yep. I got confused for a second. Vadermaker stays at his current provision. And in addition, just to make things extra funky, all three, Rain, Frost, and Fog, will have their provision change from 5 to 4. So
exactly.
I mean, weather. We want it to work. You guys want it to work. I think we'll eventually get it if today is not the day. But definitely, weather is an archetype we wanted to push for a while now.
Exactly. Next up, we have Germain Picant.
Yep. We added in a new part of his ability, which is Order Spawn a Cow. Cooldown 3. So now not only does he come with a nice little herd, he can keep growing that herd if you don't kill him. So that's a little bit of engine to him. Although at a cooldown 3, it's not overly scary, I'd say, but definitely adds a new dynamic to the card. And I think this one's completely based off the fact that Germain looks like Ostre and he just wants his card to be played more. Exactly. I'm calling it now. Yeah, go ahead.
2 more things. Apart from that, Figgle's muzzle is now a spell, and Marigold's Hellstorm provision from 9 to 8.
Yeah, those I just wanted to just call out really quick, as they affect a certain Northern Realms legendary card coming out. With some of the example of adjustments we're making.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people were asking about Figgle's muscle. Yeah, muzzle.
Yeah,
not muscle.
Muzzle. Exactly.
What faction next, Buja? What should we go to?
Monsters. I think we should start with Brewis here. How do you feel about that?
Again, I think it's important to highlight that we're not looking at everything right now. Yeah, but Brewis is having its power change from 5 to 6. In fact, Weavis and Wispus and Weavis are also gaining 1 power.
Exactly.
5 to 6. Except Brewis now has this added flexibility where it's a Zeal Order consume an allied unit charge 1. Increase the number of charges by 1 whenever you play a crone. So it's very similar to before, although I believe in this case you want to play Brewis early to get more charges? Or is this... I think you still want to play the Wispus Weavis sooner, if I'm reading this properly.
Yeah, I would say
Time will tell. I haven't actually had a chance to test out this new Brewis yet, so I can't say with certainty.
You will be able quite soon. June 8th.
Yeah, and any day now it's going to come out, and you guys are going to be able to solve that puzzle. Next up,
Kayran,
ability change to immunity. Deploy, consume 3 allied units. Wow.
Yep.
Immunity on Kayran. That's a significant change to monsters.
It is.
Everything that's consumed Deathwish related. Kayran now has the ability to really... Wow. Although I have to note that it is a downside in the sense that you can no longer choose the units, right? You can't just Dettlaff because it's on deploy, right?
Exactly.
So it is a bit of a trade-off, right? It does kind of kill the combo where you play Kayran after Dettlaff. Is it Higher Vampire? Right? That's the version, yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, but at the same time, immunity is nothing to scoff at on a consume 3. That's... Well, I guess Igni's getting a buff this basically, right? We see it everywhere. You're going to want some Igni action against monsters, it feels like.
Agreed.
And I think the last change is one that people are kind of commenting on already, and that's that fact that Penitent was summoning to a random row. Well, now it summons to its own row. So that's going to be much important change in order to trigger Sabbath, right?
Exactly. Good
so
change
that was seen as a downside of Penitent when we revealed, I believe, the monster cards, and now, whoops. Ratcatcher S specifically, right? We're noticing that Ratcatcher S is coming out at 7 provisions. So that's good, I think. That definitely
makes total sense.
Opens up Sabbath a little bit. And I know, like, just to kind of make a segue here, if you'll humor me for a second, that it might feel like, we're missing more cards to make this Sabbath Monsters thing going. We are potentially in some cases slightly overbalancing, let's say, some of the new cards, because we know that they need it for the archetype to kind of work in the current meta, and there's always a chance that we'll adjust or nerf some of these cards when we release more cards from the set, just so that you know what I mean. Like, it might need that extra little bit of points and value to survive the meta, or to be valuable play in the current landscape of things. But if that changes as we release new cards, I think we'll certainly adjust as best as we can.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Moving on to Northern Realms. This is going to be a long one because I think I've highlighted most of the changes. There's a lot of changes overall. I think what you mentioned kind of in the beginning, kind of changes to cooldown and charges. How could you explain that in a nutshell if you wanted to sell it to somebody?
Right. So the solution really stems from the fact that with coins and charges sort of having a similar purpose between Northern Realms and Syndicate, where you're kind of banking on value onto a card or into like this invisible bag of coins. We felt it hard to do something a bit more unique with Northern Realms, and I guess we didn't really have this taste to make the charges work. So instead, we've decided to kind of take it in an interesting other direction, where we focus on this idea of cooldowns in Northern Realms. And kind of playing with cooldowns in general, which is, I don't think, something we've played with quite a bit in Gwent before. So I think Stockpile is like the keystone to this whole archetype in a way, right? Where are we looking at that right now? I can't see.
Not yet.
You're showing.
All
right, let's start. Let's go straight to Stockpile. All right. Well, Stockpile goes from 17 to 15 provision and gains a new ability called Order. Reduce the cooldown of 3 adjacent Northern Realm units by 1, and spawn a volunteer to their row, charge 3. So you can see right now, instead of giving charges, which can kind of spin out of control really high, you're kind of resetting the cooldowns or lowering. And we'll see as we go through the cards that we've switched a lot of these Northern Realm staples to go from basically charges to cooldown, in some cases reworking them entirely. So if we start maybe with the first one, which is Priscilla.
There we go.
Right. Which is definitely a charge-based card. She went from a power of 5 to 6. Now she has Zeal, Order, heal an allied unit by 4, and resets its cooldown. Or, if it's inspired, boost an allied unit by 4 and resets its cooldown.
Wow.
So you may not think that's necessarily the big thing, but I wish we had ordered this a little different. But you'll see later on that there will be cards with really long cooldowns, and Priscilla will definitely find value there. That's right. Cool. So this gives us a different way to play with it. So, for example, if we switch to the next card, Dandelion, which is now a 9 provision card, he has Order, boost a unit in your deck by 2, cooldown 2. Inspired, at the end of your turn, boost the top unit in your deck by 1. So, oh man, that Inspired is pretty sick, especially with self-deck manipulation, right? You just decide, we've seen quite a bit of that with what we have. We have Istrid, right? And Snowdrop will be playing with your deck quite a bit. And that Order is really good. So with Priscilla, if you time it right after you use Dandelion's Order, you get an extra boost in your deck by 2 immediately instead of 2 turns from now. I think already that's a nice use of Priscilla.
Exactly.
Moving on to, let's say, Damn Sorceress, which seems like we're changing all the time to try and kind of find her more of an engine-y feel. So we've changed her to, once again, just Zeal, Order, destroy a unit's shield and boost self by 2. But in this case, a cooldown of 2. So it's, again, the thing that's nice about cooldown versus charges is it lets us set a pace where the card can continue to find engine value at a rate that kind of matches its ability without having to worry about charges as much.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Moving on, maybe we have Reinforced Ballista, Formation. damage unit by 1 on order, cooldown 1, resupply, reduce the cooldown by 1. So this is really nice, right? You have your reinforced ballista, you do your little 1 ping, use your leader ability on 3 things with orders, and you can have 2 reinforced ballistas pinging immediately again.
Nice.
Right? You can kind of see how cooldown is opening up a few things for us.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna breathe for a second.
Yeah. After that, I will introduce our boy Hubert Rake. He's a vampire, of course. When you use an order ability while this card is in your deck, remove a counter from it. When counter reaches 0, summon this card from your deck to your ranged row. Counter 10, and provision change to 8.
Yeah, so that's a nice self-thinning for Northern Realms, which they haven't had a bit. Fits with the orders and the cooldowns very well because, doing 10 orders is a little wonky. Although I have a feeling, he's going to end up feeling a bit like Knickers for the less advanced player that's not counting that in their head.
Yeah.
Which is going to pop out when they weren't hoping for him. They'll do the math wrong. I know that's going to happen at some point. They're going to be like,
sure.
oh, no, Hubert. Or, it create a little dilemma where you're like, do I do that 1 ping and get Hubert now? Or do I pass and keep Hubert for later? I think it adds a nice dynamic to Northern Realms.
I agree.
I think this is an example of I think this change, adding a new feel to the way Northern Realms feel. And as you'll see, it does work really well with the Siege archetype as a whole. Will really lead into that. Which moves us on to Winch, right?
There we go.
Which boosts an allied unit by 5 and reduces its cooldown by 3. You might say, well, why would I do that on reinforced ballista? You probably wouldn't. Damn sources. Maybe you wouldn't, but who knows, right? I think even if you reduce the damn sources by cooldown by 2 instead of 3, and you're ripping the shield off something that boosts itself, the value from Winch potentially is quite high.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good in some very specific situations. It's a nice warfare, and something to note about warfares in general is Commander's Horn is becoming a warfare again. We didn't really mention it earlier, but
it's true.
Yeah. So definitely there's a chance the Siege archetype kind of slinks out a little bit. Next on the plate,
Synchron Envoy.
Provisions 5-4. Formation, order, look at 3 random cards from your deck and move 1 to the top. Cooldown 2. So again, with Dandelion, Synchron Envoy is going to do that. I think it fits the thematic of the card much better than before.
Yes.
And definitely you see the self-deck archetype kind of strengthening with this card more than, let's say, Siege, right?
Exactly.
I think it's time for Froltis Pride to actually have some pride, something to be proud of.
Amen.
So his power is going from 5 to 6. Its armor is changing from 0 to 1. That's already pretty massive. And ability has been changed to damage an enemy unit by 2 and adjacent units to it by 1, cooldown 4. Crew, set cooldown to 2. So you can see already here, a slightly bigger cooldown, but hey, that's 4 points, yeah? So, a little winch, a little leader charge, and you got yourself, 8 damage? That's nothing to scoff at, my friend.
That's really good. That's really good. Actually, it can now be Foltest's biggest pride.
I think Foltest will be proud of this little catapult.
Oh, yeah.
Synchron Spellweaver, I think, is one that has been strong at some points, but kind of fell off. Order damage unit by 1, charge 1, gain 1 charge whenever you play a mage or a spell. So now Spellweaver got a buff, right? Because it was only mages before. So yeah, mage. Woo-hoo.
Nice.
I think playing a spell is really nice, so you're not just punished for not playing a unit, I guess. And then we have Eretuz Adept, which I really like this one because we're actually we're playing with the Patience keyword on an existing card. Provision goes from 5 to 4, and whenever you trigger Patience, boost self by 1.
Nice.
So that's a nice little engine. So if you actually have 3 units with their Patience ticking, meaning their order's not used on the board, as Eretuz Adept gets buffed by 3. So with cards like the Bernard Student, they may seem like a worse, Mauler at the beginning, but man, if they're gaining 1 damage for not using the order, and the Aretuza Adepts are boosting themselves by 1 every time they're not using their order, I think it really shows some combo potential that for 4 provision cards, pretty substantial.
Nice. Really
Yeah.
nice. Very substantial, I would say. Yeah.
Then we got Nenneke coming just with a power change of 4 to 5. As a starter card, we didn't want to completely rework her. It's not like we want to remove charges from every card in Northern Realms. It's not like a mechanic we want to get rid of. But we're talking about longer cooldowns. Let's look at Shani, right? Who's now going from 9 to 10 provision. Ability change to Zeal. Order, summon a bronze human unit from your graveyard and give it Doomed. Cooldown 7. She's gonna keep pumping that chest until that soldier gets back up.
Exactly.
But cooldown 7, like the odds of using that twice by itself is there if you play it early enough, right? But with all these like cooldown reductions that exist on things like Winch, you can actually see this card coming twice, right?
Yeah.
So
You'll need some setup for it, but yeah, it will pay you back for sure.
And then I think we can move on to Thaler, whose power is going from 5 to 6. Formation. Order, if neither player has passed and your opponent's hand is not full, both players draw a card. Bit of an Old Spy feeling to that one.
Nice.
Little bit. It's not quite because we both draw, but still. Siege support. Ability change to melee. Reduce cooldown of an allied unit by 1. Deploy ranged. Boost an allied unit by 1. Order, give an allied unit Zeal. Again, here's another mechanic to reduce cooldowns, which we can see from cards like Shani can be quite substantial.
Exactly.
And, give Zeal to something that, a Thaler that you don't want to use formation on. It's maybe not top tier. I don't know if it'll get auto-included, but it's certainly much more interesting than before.
Really?
Oh, finally, the battering ram, the one that I've been wanting to be like this for so long, because it's so sexy, is now deploy, crew, gain Zeal. Order melee, move self to the ranged row. Order range, move self to the melee row, then damage the highest enemy unit by 3, cooldown 2. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the battering ram can now start ramming them gates. With a cooldown 2 to just kind of keep it out of control. But again, as we saw with all these cooldown type reductions that we have now that we can add later, it's the formation of an archetype as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Really
One
cool
that sounds
change.
quite
I
interesting.
know you were petitioning for battering ram to change, and the petition made it. So
Mhm.
Come on, guys, let's make it cool.
I mean, we have War Elephant up next, which has a cooldown of 6. I know a lot of people feel that War Elephant's just a tall punish. Like, why would you even play War Elephant? It's just going to get super big and just be removed. Well, if it doesn't get removed for 6 turns, or you reduce that cooldown, it can become extra tall. I guess it fits the vibe of greedy Northern Realms. I guess
Yeah, it does totally.
it does totally. And Vess, has a new part of her ability where she has cooldown 3 now.
Mhm.
Right, more cooldown, as you can see.
Exactly.
And moving on, bombardment's provisions will be changed from 5 to 4, which, changing a provision from 5 to 4 is never a small thing. With all these machines getting much more maybe interesting or viable, bombardment going to 4 and, being based off how many machines you have on the board is not bad, I would say. I think it's coming together where maybe Siege won't be a full archetype that's top level viable. But it's definitely a huge step in that direction, and I'm quite happy that we've started it. And again, we'll be taking a look at how these orders and cooldowns work and adjusting it probably more in the coming patches.
Yeah.
Though no guarantees of anything specific at this point. And then there's 2 cards left for Northern Realms that are maybe a bit more related to mages, where Seal de Transeville is going from provision 7 to 6. And the thing that I hinted at before, Rune Ward, is changing from 4 to 6.
Mhm.
And its abilities change to create and play a Bronze Northern Realm mage and give it shield.
Oof.
I mean, that's quite expensive at 6 provisions, right?
Yeah.
But, when you create this via, I don't know, a certain elderly mage from Barnard, maybe it's actually quite a really nice spell. Maybe it's nice on its own if you're looking to jam more mages in. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's good. And that's Northern Realms in a nutshell for you.
Yeah.
I think we went
again,
through most of the changes, but there'll be some things that might have been left out that you will see in the patch notes. Patch notes, as always, the day before. So, yeah.
coming soon.
Yeah, very soon. Okay.
So, I'm excited. I think that's a huge pass in Northern Realms. Is it, the reinvention and perfection of the faction? No, it's an art process. We'll keep working on it. But I think I find it an interesting direction to take the faction.
I agree. Okay, we just have Scoia'tael, Nilfgaard, and Syndicate left, while there's only a couple changes that we'll be highlighting here. For Scoia'tael, I only chose one, which is a change to Sage. He is now an Elven Scribe, which I like the name a lot more better. And provision change from 6 to 4 here. Ability change to remove a counter whenever you play a special card. Counter 3 when the counter reaches 0, boosts self by 6.
Oh, this is kind of very similar to, I would say, the way the great swords work, right? In the sense that there's a big payoff, but there's a limit to it. There's a ceiling to it. We changed it to Elven Scribe because if you actually do a bit of more research into the Elven lore, sages are like really rare. They're like really super powerful, super knowledgeable, super trained mages within the Elven thing, where even Francesca is not technically a sage. So having a bronze card just called Sage didn't quite fit nicely.
Yeah, the guy's just a scribe. He writes stuff. That's it.
Yeah, he's just a scribe. A good scribe. He keeps good books, but he's not a sage.
Exactly. Gotta work on his writing to get to becoming a sage. A lot of work
to do there. Moving on to Nilfgaard, maybe.
Nilfgaard.
And then
Imposter.
Ability has been changed to order lock in unit and spawn its base copy in the opposite row. That's like before, except now it boosts it instead of by a specific number. It boosts it by the number of enemy units with the status on the locked unit's row.
Ooh.
Right, so this adds a little bit of maybe spy synergy, adds a little bit of generally status synergy. So it's a big payoff of you're stealing potentially something big to begin with, and boosting it, I believe, up to 8. Although I doubt you'll consistently hit +8, but maybe with spies, it's actually quite reasonable to assume that you could hit that fairly regularly. So. I would say Imposter has a real chance of being one of the top Nilfgaard leader abilities after this update, based on that alone.
Nice, really cool change.
And for Anguilla, Vigo now also counts constructs in addition to mages, and its provision have gone down from 8 to 7. So, we've seen a few new Nilfgaard cards that will spawn some constructs, for example, right, in the recent reveals. So, definitely on top of a provision buff, Brangilla Vigo's solid consideration at the very least.
Really?
And finally, Henrietta is now ranged rogue locked. Not much more to say. It's just locked.
It's just locked. That's it.
It's just locked. Finally, I think there's one thing you wanted to highlight about Syndicate, and that's Jackpot.
Jackpot. Exactly.
I think it's a leader ability that's been in kind of a weird place for a long time. But I really like this chain, and we're adding on to what Jackpot already does, passive, where whenever an allied unit gains coins or gives you coins, boosts the unit by any excess amount gained. So let's say you have a bank of already 9 coins and you play a card with profit 3, it'll boost itself by 3, which is really cool. It means you can't over profit in a way, at least from units, right? I think if you play a special or a crime, I should say, that profits over the limit, there won't be an allied unit boost.
Exactly.
But definitely that makes Jackpot way more interesting to me, at least.
Whew. That was quite quick for all the changes that we highlighted. And like I said, these are not all of them. We only highlighted some of them, and you will be able to see the rest of them June 7th when you see the patch notes. So you'll be able to go through these. Probably knowing you guys, someone who has already made a short snippet, posted it on forums and on Reddit, and you're making your own patch notes. But yeah, wait for the full ones, because there'll be also a lot of small bug changes, a lot of changes to power, a lot of changes to provision. So things going back and forth, and like Jensen said, they sound like small changes in terms of numbers, one number here, one number there, but actually in the game itself, once you're playing, it makes a huge difference. So yeah,
I think this is one of the largest balance patches we've done for an expansion update.
Yeah, we're dropping new cards, and we're changing some of the cards here. We're doing a rework of Northern Realms, but there's a lot of things kind of coming on top of this. So I'm really excited because there's a lot going on, and I'm seeing that there's a lot of like positive changes in the game. And
was it like 26 new cards coming as well?
Yeah. And your community is noticing this stuff, which is super awesome. So I'm happy
that I hope you guys have enjoyed the reveal campaign so far. I think I like the format we've gone with. It's been every day pretty exciting for me. I don't know about you.
I love it.
But I'm quite happy. We need to record in mornings more, because evenings I get low energy by the time we reach here. Okay, let's do this. Final reveal time.
3 cards. Starting with Megascope.
Artifact, common, neutral, 4 provisions. Deploy, create a bronze allied unit after 2 turns. Spawn its base copy on the right of the Megascope. Yeah, so this is like a portal in a way, right? But I believe it only creates one. It only creates one allied unit, right? So, but it's 4 provisions, right? Like, I think there's quite a few interesting decks that like a bronze card that makes more bronze card copies, right? I can see certain people making more crows come out, for example, and you can put 2 of these bad boys in, 2 turns, don't matter. You get through those 2 turns, no problem. If that's what you want, is more bronzes, here you go, Megascope.
Nice.
I like it.
I love it.
I like this card. And I think there's certain decks that are going to absolutely love this card.
Amen. Art by Zuzaka Pushkinska, just so you guys know. That was actually there, so you can see it. So that's our first reveal. Our second reveal is Whisper.
The Whisper of Dol Bluthar.
One of my favorite arts of this expansion, I have to be honest. I really like it. It has a very
common
nice feel to it.
Common Elf Mage, 3 power, 5 provision, Veil. Veil's a nice keyword. When you play a special card, spawn a base copy of self on this row and remove a counter. Counter 1. So, kind of very similar to Ethereal, but once it makes a copy of itself, it's like a dead engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that could be pretty good if you don't answer this, guys. And it's got Veil, so you can't lock it, can't poison it, can't do anything. But it is 3 power, so it feels a bit like Skoya's new version of Revenants, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So maybe a bit more straightforward to set up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you need spells, right? But hey, we know there's lots of ways to play spells.
Yeah, especially in Skoya.
Especially in Spell. But what's interesting about this is points on bottom, right? And he goes wide. Lambert's going to have fun. Lacerate's going to have fun, right? So, yeah, I think this is one of the cards that makes the new Skoya Spellitel archetype that we're kind of building here with Press of Power interesting.
Solid.
And,
final one.
the final one, the legendary one that nobody predicted, rolls eyes vocally. Francesca Findaber is finally back as a card.
Yay!
Also has Veil. Is 7 power, 10 provisions, Elven Mage. Whenever you play a special card, remove 1 counter. Counter 3. When counter reaches 0, spawn and play a doomed copy of the last special card you played. Boom. That's 7 power, veiled, can't lock it. Not that easy to deal with 7 power.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Skoya can maybe help protect this card in a few ways. You just have to play 3 special cards, and then you get double Oneiromancy? Right? You play 1, but it's doomed, right? So you won't get a second Oneiromancy. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you play Oneiromancy, it goes to your graveyard, and it plays automatically second Oneiromancy, but that one is doomed, so it doesn't go to graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, value town, friends.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a special card, right? It's not even spell. You're gonna want to deal with this legendary. I think generally with these cards coming out with Once Upon a Pyre, our first expansion for Price of Power, the legendaries have been pretty dope, don't you think? Like,
yeah, they've been really, really solid and very powerful.
Do I sound like an old man trying to be young and hipster saying dope? I can't decide.
It's fine. It's totally fine. Anything goes here. This is a safe space, Jason.
This is a safe space. Okay, but yeah, I'm really excited. Maybe we'll be able to expand more on these as we go with each expansion for Price of Power. But I think already the meta is going to be really interesting.
Oh yeah,
and people will have a lot of fun and things to experiment, right? Like cards like Megascope, which we just revealed, are nice for existing decks, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's another commando if you really feel like you need help getting more commandos for some reason, or it's another crow, it's another whatever you want really from bronze. That's not nothing.
Yeah,
that's not nothing.
Yeah,
and it's spawn, right? If you spawn like a great sword, it just spawns it at 10 points.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'll wait 2 turns for 4 provisions on that, my friend. No problem.
True that. All right, those are the final reveals. There's only one more topic that we left till the end, so kind of how we're thinking about bringing back vanities to the shop, because when we announced Price of Power, a lot of you guys were saying that there were more requests about just having the vanities themselves as a separate type of content that is not part of the expansion pass. We see, of course, value in that, and the question is how we want to do it and to what extent we want to keep the exclusivity going. And we get it that
is it a time exclusive? Do we just do recolors?
Exactly, like kind of the Unseen Elder Blood Armor skin and Radovid Shipboard. Like these were things that you would want to get apart from not being connected to the expansion. Also depends on when you join the game, and you might not have access to that because you were kind of too late to join the party. So yeah, the same thing goes with Price of Power. So we're kind of we're trying to have these things exclusive for some time, but we're kind of thinking like what to do moving forward. Like we don't have a decision yet, but we'd really like your feedback and any suggestions that you guys have on this topic, because what we're trying to say is like we know we heard you, but we're trying to think what's the best way to approach this.
And as you see, we're always trying to listen and evolve things, right? Mm-hmm. This new expansion pass is really a way of us trying to take the RNG out of those big purchases and give you guys something there. And honestly, we know we're not crazy. We know that some of you are buying these expansion passes for the vanities and not the cards.
Exactly.
We know. But in our mind, this is one of our primary big ticket items. It's the only really big ticket item in our roadmaps going forward. For now, who knows, things can change. But to us, you're really sending us your support, but you're also buying a lot of premium cards. And these vanities, to us, for the vast majority of the way we see it, they're bonuses and they're thank yous from us for making that large purchase. And we don't want to just turn around and just immediately take that thank you and give it to everyone else at a fraction of the support.
Yeah.
But long term, it's definitely something we're thinking about bringing back in some way, but we haven't made a decision yet. And I think what Bush is trying to say, and I think it's a really important one, that generally we're listening. We're reading, and we see your concerns and your criticisms, and it's not always so easy to make a decision and change this and do that. And the general direction we go is what can we do better next time, instead of just uprooting everything that we're currently doing. So I think we just want to acknowledge that we are listening. We see there's some things you guys aren't happy with, but overall, I think we're quite happy how this format has started, even though we know there's things that can be improved.
Exactly.
We like the way that the reveals were coming. Can you guys realize that, in the blink of an eye, we're going to be doing this whole reveal cycle again?
Very soon.
Yeah. in about a month and a half max, we're going to be doing all of this again.
Rewind.
And then again, 2 months later, the same thing starts off again and again and again. And I'm excited about that. I really have enjoyed the last 2 weeks. I hope you guys have too.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say to that.
Yeah.
Maybe some things weren't perfect, but man, we've updated the website. The guys did a fantastic job. I really like the way the cards are highlighted there. And I think we'll just keep looking for ways to do this new cycle better. It's been a big change for us, to be honest.
Yeah, and we're also learning from it, and we're getting your feedback from it. So there's some things that we want to improve for the next one, some things we want to change. But yeah, we like the overall direction and the change. And yeah, more content dropping more frequently is always awesome, in my opinion. So yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Jason, all right. Thank you. Let's get ready for the finals. Let's watch the finals. Congrats to whoever's going to win.
Good luck to the participants.
Exactly. Have a good one. Take care. We are signing off. Bye.
Bye.